All right. Let's start with something that your moniker, the heavy metal rebel. How did you come up with that,
Yeah.
and what does that mean to you?
Well, I think that your personality or your gimmick, the word gimmick in pro wrestling, should closely represent who you really are. And and I've always been a fan of heavy metal, a huge fan. But and never really thought too much about blending the worlds of wrestling, what I do for a living, and heavy metal, which is my other passion, other than the font on my wrestling gear and my look early on and stuff. But in Ring of Honor, I have the freedom to be who I really am, and as a tag team wrestler, it still focuses on the tag team, but still a little bit on the individual. And going forward, it's that name fits me in more ways than one. A, being heavy metal fan, and a rebel. I've always been rebellious by nature. I've lost jobs over being rebellious. I've lost friends over being rebellious, and Rebel is also my son's name, and so that's a little homage to him, and it just totally fits, who I am, and just researching that phrase. Like, I hadn't even seen that phrase used. Like, I thought for sure there'd be that clothing company or something that had that phrase, and it hadn't even been used. So I was like, wow, I think I'm onto something here, and it fits who I am, especially right now in my career.
hmm Now, in other promotions, did you want to do more with the sort of blending the music into wrestling, and you weren't allowed, or is it something specific that when you came to Ring of Honor, you're like, this is what I want to do, and are you cool with it?
Well, I mean, like back in like the TNA days, like in my, 2007, 2008, when I was having a decent run as a babyface, and they just kind of had me thrown out there as just the babyface guy winning matches and not really talking much. I pitched ideas of doing stuff with, for my video wall of showing, shots of mosh pits, or, just a band on stage and me like in a crowd, like with my people, with my fellow metalheads and stuff like that. And they just, have none of it. It wasn't their vision for me at the time. So of course, who am I to say anything? But yeah, coming into Ring of Honor, it was just, well, this is who I am, and Ring of Honor has been super cool about giving us a lot of creative freedom. And literally just, a year ago maybe, I told the people there, I told the announcer, I said, from now on, please call me this when I come out, and totally cool with it, because they know it's me. They know it's not an act or a put on, and it's just naturally me from the way I'm dressed in my battle gear, coming to the ring with the battle vest with the patches and the spikes and everything on it that any heavy metal fan can relate to. And it's just it's not a persona, really. That's me.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that not just with the patches and the look, but the attitude that you're having in Ring of Honor right now, do you see that as more who you truly are as a wrestler, as a performer, and as a wrestler?
Yeah, I absolutely, because I don't necessarily have a filter. In Ring of Honor, the only filter I need is one that pertains to language. I can't. There's some certain language and four-letter words I can't use that I'd like to. But in terms of presentation and promos and stuff, and the way I voice my opinion, and that's 100% me. There's no blurred line between reality and fiction. That's 100% me. I'm very outspoken in terms of, whether it be political or whether it be, a certain social situation, music, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100% me. What you see is what you get, and just, with a little spice added for television.
Right. Now, going back a little bit, who was the first band you heard that really got you into heavy metal? And even if you remember the record, and what was it about band or record?
Okay, well, growing up, my parents always listened to music. Something was always on the record player. It was always, if it was my dad listening to it, was always the Stones, the Beatles, Frank Zappa,
Nice.
the band, things like that. War. And it was, my mom was always Willie Nelson, Waylon Jennings, Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, Elvis. Both of them loved Elvis. So it was always, that mix of like classic rock, rock and roll, country and western. So, I kind of just gravitated towards, music with instruments and musicality to it. Really kind of bonded with my dad over the Rolling Stones and stuff like that. And then got into a little band you might have heard of called Guns N' Roses when I was about fifth grade. And that was the first, they had just kind of broken huge. And that was the first album I went out and bought the actual tape with my own money. And it was the first band that my dad liked a couple of their songs. And so we kind of, another thing we bonded over. And that was the first, like, harder rock band that I had ever really got into. And I bought it 100%. Just wore a Guns N' Roses t-shirt to school every day. And kids used to think I only had Guns N' Roses shirts. And just, that started it, man. That started, I immediately, spiked my hair. My hair was long and bleached it blonde. And just, just my whole kind of outlook changed. And then from that, in sixth grade, a kid named Phil Sanchez, I still remember telling me, hey, if you like Guns N' Roses, you'll like this. And he handed me a recorded cassette tape of the album And Justice for All.
Nice.
Which had just come out. And that blew my mind, man. I was just like, okay, I went and listened to it. And it was everything I loved about Guns N' Roses and more. And just these insane, fast riffs and just dark melodies. And just, I was just like, what is this? And that took me down the wormhole, man, and that's what really got me started on my path of discovering hard rock and heavy music.
Mm-hmm. Now, was there ever a point before wrestling where you were going down the musician path?
Well, I always knew I wanted to do something with music. I remember early on in grade school, when we became of age to take musical lessons, I remember them saying, they said, these are your options, and it was, trumpet, clarinet, saxophone, all this stuff. And then they said drums, and that's but you have to already have a year of experience. And I was like, oh, well, of all those things, drums sound the coolest to me, because, I was a rock and roll guy. I liked rock and roll. Mm-hmm. But I was like, so I'll take a year of saxophone. Saxophone's pretty cool. I'll take a year of saxophone, and then I'll play drums. Well, being somebody that walked to school and being, 60 pounds soaking wet, carrying a saxophone to and from school every day got exhausting. And, so I did that for 1 year and just kind of fell out of it. And then after high school, in between the time after high school ended and before I started professional wrestling training, which was about a 3-year period, I had started to play a bass guitar. And I always loved the sound of the bass guitar and always gravitated towards it. And my grandfather was a musician in Las Vegas and out here in California. And he was older at the time, and I told him I wanted to get into music, and I loved the bass guitar. He brought me into the room, and he goes, well, here, and he showed me his 1966 Fender Mustang bass guitar, original, first year that came out, and he gave it to me. Gave it to me that day. He said, if you want to be a bass guitar musician, please. And I still have that bass guitar. I'll never get rid of it. It's, it's part of me, and that's what started me. And I went immediately and started studying bass guitar, and I've been playing that ever since.
Cool. Now, how did you get into professional wrestling? Because, keeping with your sort of rebel moniker, it's a very rebel way to try to earn a living. How did you get into that?
Well, that's, aside from rock and roll, my other obsession growing up was pro wrestling. And honestly, it's the only thing I ever, when kids say they dream about doing something, that was the only thing I dreamed about doing, fantasized about, having wrestling matches. And it's the only thing I really wanted to do. So, after high school, I, started working, and I remember my parents one day, my dad saying, well, what are you going to do? And I went and I almost signed up at a couple community colleges in San Diego, and I actually almost went to the Navy right out of high school. I was only like a paper away from signing, going into the Navy. I remember talking to the recruiter all through my junior and senior year, and that was something I wanted to do because I had an uncle that I admired who was a career Navy man. And but at the last, again, that rebel spirit kicking in at the last minute, reading the pamphlets and watching the videos and just thinking to myself, man, I'm not going to be able to fall in line like these guys are. God bless them, and I thank them for what they do, but I just don't think I can fall in line and be the the guy that's just browbeaten and told what to do all day. I can't do that. So, that decision wavered, and I told my dad, I said, I want to be a professional wrestler. And he says, okay, well, then, do it, but do it now and do it right. So I saved up money and saved up enough money to pay for my wrestling school and the trek from here in Southern California to Malden, Massachusetts, where Killer Kowalski School was, and just made it happen, man. Just went out and made it happen. Moved, saved up money, packed up everything I had, and moved across country at 19 years old to start living the dream, so they say.
Yeah. Now, what was it like training with Kowalski?
Oh, it was awesome, man. It was, every interview I give, I say that, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have gotten as far as I've gotten without him. There's not many guys like that anymore. Guys that have been there and done that, and just these legendary Hall of Fame names. And he was really, really, he's really focused on the fundamentals and just the art of what we do. And for me, he was a friend also. I didn't have any friends other than a couple of cats I met in wrestling class who became good friends. But he was, he was the guy I rode with to and from every practice, every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. I'd go to church with him. We would go out to eat all the time, and he really took me in. I think he really respected and appreciated the fact that I had come from Southern California all the way to Massachusetts just to train with him. In fact, after every new student that would come sign up, a potential new student, he would point at me, and it was like he came from Southern California to be here. I think he was always very proud of the fact that I chose his school, and it was because of who he had trained previously and what he had done in the business. And he was great. It's I can't. There's not enough words I've had to give thanks to him for what he's done for me in my career.
Mm-hmm. Now, do you think that part of the training, or I guess a better way to ask it is, you guys are you're a veteran team. I mean, you guys have been you've been everywhere, you've done everything, and yet no matter where you go, still welcomed with open arms, which is not true of everyone who comes out of TNA. You're still a relevant team. You're still a team people clamor to come see. You're still a showcase on the bill. Why do you think that is when so many other people fall off after just a few years? That's what you just said. That's something we're incredibly proud of, is that the fact that we are still, as relevant a tag team as there is in the business today. And I think above all, taking all the in-ring stuff aside, I think it's professionalism. And, I think Chris and myself both have good reputations because, throughout, my 18 years and his 23 plus, 24 plus, we've always treated people with respect, treated people how we wanted to be treated. We were always incredibly easy to work with. We were always, guys that were never a problem, guys that could be in control of the locker room, guys that could be in control of a match. And I think we're guys that people genuinely like to be around. And I think that speaks volumes, and that says more than anything we could do in the ring. We always, conduct business, the way it should be conducted. And I learned a lot of that from Chris Daniels, the professionalism part of it. And yeah, I think, when you're around, you've been around this long, you kind of, a little bit of everybody, a little bit of the new guys, current superstars, the guys that are, just winding down. You kind of have been around all of them, and we know people from, every aspect of the business right now, and we're well in tune, and we're still going strong, and still having fun, and still, having great matches. We're both incredibly proud of that. Yeah, that's the thing that's impressive to me, is that the matches that you guys do haven't slowed down or gotten, any more restrained. I mean, there's high flying, there's hard hitting, there's crazy spots, and it's impressive. And I don't mean to say that you guys were old or anything, but I mean, you put that much wear and tear in your body, and a lot of people, they're over it, and you guys still manage to make it happen.
And it's work ethic, man. It's like, I mean, I know we're in the middle of a youth movement of pro wrestling, but back in the day, guys didn't hit their stride till they were 35, 40. It's crazy. And you can't teach experience. It's one thing you can't teach. You have to live it.
Right.
And the work ethic. Nobody's going to outwork us. You might outfly us, you might outpower us, but nobody's going to outwork us.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's going to put in more work than Chris and I. And that's why we are still relevant. That's why we are still having high, top quality caliber matches against
mm-hmm.
teams like the Young Bucks and the Machine Guns and the Briscoes and Red Dragon and War Machine and all these tag teams that are relevant right there along with us. It's because of that work ethic.
Mm-hmm. Now, when you guys are coming out to, well, I know you come out to your own music when you actually enter the thing, but when you're working out or you're getting hype in the back, are there any bands that like you pump really, really loud to get yourself ready for action?
Yeah, you know what? It's a weird thing with me. As much as I like music and love heavy metal, I've tried to put on my headphones and go listen to Pantera or Hatebreed or Soulfly or something that will just, that I love, that just, high tempo, high energy. And I do that, but I'm constantly thinking. So sometimes the music makes me not think and not focus clearly. So so sometimes I'll take that off and just think about what I have to do. But definitely in car rides, absolutely. And at the gym, of course, my playlist is always those bands I just said, Sprinkler, obviously, some, Metallica, who, of course, is my favorite.
Right.
Some AC/DC, some Iron Maiden, Priest, Slayer,
mm-hmm.
Megadeth, Anthrax, Diamond Head, all those guys. But, yeah, if I do have a certain match or a certain angle that requires a little bit more intensity or a little bit more energy or something different from me, I will absolutely throw on like I'll listen to some Hatebreed or some Soulfly or something that will just just put me in that right frame of mind.
Cool. So talk to me, staying on the music tip for just a second, then we'll go jump back to wrestling. Talk to me a little bit about Vex Temper. Is it still going on? What is it? What are you doing it? For those who are uninitiated, let them know.
Yep, well, Vex Temper is my band. I play bass guitar and sing backup vocals. We wrote the music that Chris Daniels and I come out to currently, a song called Get Addicted, and we were able to do that because when we needed new music and we became heels, we became bad guys.
Right.
For those that don't know the lingo, we needed new music, and they approached us with this, and I said, well, I have a band, and would you guys be opposed to me writing and us recording the music? And they said, no, that'd be great, but we need it by this date. So I immediately that night came up with a melody and lyrics and music and presented it to my band and presented them with this pitch, and they were thrilled. They were all on it, and we got it done. We got it done in time and started using it. And the funny thing is, the song itself is more. It's not really a mirror of what our band is, because the song is more for Chris and I. It's got that swagger and that backbeat a little bit to it. That's a little more groove driven, and kind of a little more happier than the songs that Vex Temper does. But it fits what Chris and I do. But yeah, we're still going strong. We're in the process, the very, very slow process of recording. What we thought was going to be like a 5-6 song demo, which is turning out to be much more than that. We're in the process of doing that. The drawback is that we're all working men. I'm obviously a full-time professional wrestler. Our two guitarists work crazy hours on a wind farm. Our lead singer owns his own well drilling company, and our drummer is a carpenter. So getting together for rehearsals and for gigs sometimes seems to be challenging. But we've got a lot of gigs this year, and we're back on track right now. So it's just the timing thing is tough, trying to get us all together and corral us all. But but we're all on the same page, and the guys are psyched about the exposure they've gotten just from the Get Addicted song and the hits it's gotten. So we're just trying to go forward and get more music out there, even in a little bit of a raw form for people to listen to.
Cool. So you guys, the next big pay-per-view coming up for Ring of Honor is Death Before Dishonor. For those who don't know what Death Before Dishonor is and the history of it, explain it a little bit, and then talk about what you think possibly the Addictions part in it will be.
Well, I know we'll be defending our tag team championships.
Right.
Our opponents have not been named as of yet, but we definitely will be there in Vegas. A lot of the stars of New Japan will be there, and Death Before Dishonor is always, just one of those traditional Ring of Honor shows where everybody brings it. And this year, it's the ante's been up because we're going to have a lot of the stars of New Japan Pro Wrestling, which is a huge attraction over here. And New Japan and Ring of Honor have a great working relationship right now, and that's benefited both companies tremendously. So it's going to be a great show. Vegas is always a cool town for us, and we're doing the pay-per-view the 19th and television taping the 20th. And fans can expect the same athleticism and work rate and effort that every Ring of Honor / New Japan show brings. And Death Before Dishonor is going to be as good, if not better, than the previous show. Just like we always do. We're going to try to top what we did previously.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Yeah, I'm a big Ring of Honor fan for a while, so I always get psyched on Death Before Dishonor and Final Battle are usually the two every year that I get the most psyched for, because that's when a lot of the crazier stuff goes down. Plus, the New Japan thing is awesome. Couple more questions. Also, on your ring gear, you also have some comic book logos, Venom in particular, and I know that. And you guys put out a comic book not too long ago. Are you both big comic book fans? Is that more Chris, or is it you, or how does that figure?
Definitely Chris is the bigger comic book fan. Okay. The bigger and more well-informed comic book fan. I was always a big comic book fan growing up and kind of got out of it a little bit just because of time and stuff, and because of other things like music and family and things that occupy your time. And got back into it, several years back, just because Chris would recommend certain titles and stuff. And so I still follow it from afar and will read certain titles, but Chris is, he's a Marvel guy and he reads, religiously every week. But we are both big fans, and the gear is inspired by Marvel characters. It was always, when you're good guys or baby faces, it was always the good guy. We had Spider-Man themed gear and X-Men themed gear and S.H.I.E.L.D. themed gear, and as soon as we became bad guys, it's all Venom themed gear and Punishers, and we even have Kylo Ren, Imperial themed gear. That's kind of our thing now. But yeah, it's definitely a shout out to Marvel, and we have we just came from Comic-Con the last 2 days, and we have good friends that work in Marvel, and a lot of good friends in the comic book industry, both artists and writers alike, and so that's our homage to comic books and what they mean to us. Cool.
Last question, and I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. You guys, you left TNA. You're kicking ass in Ring of Honor. Other people have left TNA. TNA is constantly up and down. It seems like they are always sort of self-sabotaging. As an insider, what is it about that company that they can't seem to get their feet on the ground?
I don't. Right now, I'm not necessarily an insider because I've been removed for 2 years. So what's going on there is beyond me. I don't know, and I don't necessarily have a lot of people I stay in touch with that are there anymore. That old kind of regime is all gone. But having said that, I would think it's just an issue like it always was when I was there of upper management. It's just the decision-making process of everything, of which wrestlers to bring in and which creative people to bring in. I think that's always been the one major flaw is just the upper management and its decision-making. You cannot certainly blame it on the wrestlers because the effort's there. The effort is still there to this day. Mm-hmm. And the roster at one point, when you think of the roster they had with Samoa Joe and AJ Styles and us and the Machine Guns and Bobby Roode and James Storm and Dudley's and Christian and Kurt Angle, it's like you can't get a better roster than that. So I just think it's just poor management of pretty much everyday operations in terms of running a professional wrestling company, and that's not a diss or something negative, because it's just an observation from someone who was there for a very long time. And I think at this point the name is so damaged that it just, even if they're putting on great shows, which from what I understand they're doing a lot better these days, but that name is just so damaged. I don't know if you can, put the toothpaste back in the tube, as they say.
Fair enough. Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for doing this. It means the world.